Welcome back to Bearcat Update. It is time for face-off. We've got a full house tonight, and starting on your left, we've got Kyle Hendricks, host the Sunday Sports Night on KZLX every Sunday night, 6 to 8. We've got Northwest Missourian sports editor Tony Botts. We've got KZLX sports director Ross Volkmer, and I'm Matt Tritten. I just host the show. Let's go ahead and get started. The Bearcats beat Missouri Southern last week, 49-21. Going into a home game this upcoming Saturday against Emporia State. Emporia brings a pretty good defense to the table. Kyle, what should the Bearcat fans be watching out for during this game?
I don't expect the Bearcats to lose it by any means. I just don't think it'll be a blowout, maybe that they would expect from years past from this Emporia team. I don't expect 60-0, but I think Northwest is they're gonna win. I mean, Bowles and Soy are connecting. They're hitting their stride. Getting in the middle part of the MIAA schedule, right where they need to be. So I think it's just going to be another win for Northwest.
Tony, what do you think?
I definitely think Emporia brings a much better defense, a little more stingier defense than that of Missouri Southern. However, it's the Bearcats. Churchman, offense coordinator Adam Doral. They've been around. They know how to scheme an offense, and like Kyle said, Soy and Bowles this last week. Bowles went off for 375 yards. So I set a career high 161 yards. I mean, like you said, they are hitting stride, and Bowles hitting stride with the rest of his wide receivers. So, Emporia has struggled with the pass this year already. Cerneski from UCM actually put up 335 yards, and I don't see Blake Bowles falling any short of that. So, I think Northwest is going to take care of business.
I think the only team that can stop Northwest right now in the MIAA at least is themselves. It's the only team that can stop it. I mean, penalties, turnovers. We've seen plenty of penalties. Turnovers come around. Good defensive teams, guys. They know how to strip the football. They know how to create turnovers by confusing the quarterbacks. Great defenses do that. That's how you win football. That's how you shut down high-powered offenses. You keep them off the field. That's it. You got to have a good running game. So if Emporia State comes to the good running game and gets a couple turnovers and Northwest hurts themselves, that's the only way I can see possibly Northwest losing this football game. There's too much. I mean, there's a lot riding on the line. I'm sure Coach Churchman has not even mentioned it one bit, but I'm sure the players know in the back of their head. It's time to set a new record. 42 consecutive MIAA wins. It's time to set a new record. I'm sure Bowles and Sawyer are thinking that in the back of their heads, at least somewhat. And they want to set that new record. But you got to remember, penalties, turnovers. Northwest, the only team that can hurt themselves is them.
It's funny. It's funny that you mentioned you got to bring a good running game. They got to bring a running game out of this world. This defense does not give up good rushing games to opposing runners, and I think 42 straight MIAA victories. I think Northwest is going to be able to take care of that rather not easily, but rather handily.
I just think the Northwest offense has too many weapons. Obviously, everyone knows about Soy, but you have Shaw on the other side of him. You have the addition of Baker now at tight end. Simmons and Austin are now stepping up and playing pretty well. They had a good game against Southern. So I think there's just too many weapons for the Bearcats for Emporia State to stop.
Old record for consecutive MIAA victories in the regular season set by the 1997-2001 Bearcats. Current Bearcats looking to set that record of 42 this upcoming Saturday against Emporia State at home. Moving on now, let's jump to Division I. South Carolina knocked off Alabama by 2 touchdowns. So obviously we're going to have a shake-up in the polls. You guys surprised about what came out?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, not at all. Football teams, the way they're allowed to recruit or able to recruit, and the weapons that each especially SEC. You got to look at the SEC. There's no cakewalks down there. South Carolina, they're a great team. They have great coaches. They show they can play in big games, and I think Alabama was just just kind of a stage for them to come out and show this nation that you got to respect the Gamecocks. They're coming to play every Saturday. So I'm not surprised at all by it.
Ross?
This is not a surprise to me. If you look at South Carolina's record versus number 1 teams, basketball, Devon Downey beat University of Kentucky at home, knocked off number 1. Baseball, they won the College World Series this year. They knocked off number 1 Arizona State. Spurrier gets it done. Biggest win in his career for the Gamecocks, knock off Alabama. I mean, we were talking about it. Great players stepped up, and you were talking about Alshon Jeffrey here earlier. You were talking about Marcus Lattimore. I think the biggest thing had to be Steven Garcia. Boy, what a great football game. 17 for 20, 3 touchdowns. Very impressive game for Steven Garcia all around. As for the polls, Matt Tritten, not a surprise. I think the teams fell where they should have. But, Ohio State, watch out. If they don't continue to step up their play a little bit more, Pac-10's brutal. They could possibly slip up. Oregon slipping up into number 1. And, like we've talked about, that's a high-powered offense like Northwest. Good luck catching them.
With the Pac-10, I can't invest any stock into the Pac-10 just because defenses out there are shady. They do not come to play on Saturdays. I feel between the USC's, the Oregon States, just the offensive firepower they have out on that West Coast. I'd say Oregon's liable to fall at any time. And for Ohio State, the defenses they play against in the Big Ten, that's what the Big Ten's known for. And if Terrell Pryor can't stay healthy and he can't continue to play at the level that he has played or has showed that he can play at, I think there's going to be a Big Ten defense waiting to knock him off. So, honestly, to tell you the truth, I got to go to a different conference than a Pac-10 or the Big Ten. I got to go to those small schools like Boise or TCU. Their own fates and their destinies in their own hands, so they got to win out.
But I don't think you can forget about Stanford in the Pac-10. Jim Harbaugh has brought a Big Ten mentality. Being a former Michigan quarterback, he's brought that mental toughness, that that hit him in the mouth kind of defense to Stanford, and that defense is a defense that no offense, I don't care who it is, Oregon or any of the teams out east, nobody wants to face the Stanford defense.
Oregon did beat it. Also, Arizona as well. Another good defense led by one of the Stoops brothers. You're right. They're not Big Ten defenses. They're not SEC defenses. But you know what? The Pac-10, Big Ten teams kind of beat up on each other. Causes for one team to
All right, guys. We have to move on. Next topic now. Run out of time. Kansas City Chiefs lost to the Indianapolis Colts. It's a struggling Colts team, but they still lost to them. What are your thoughts? Are the Chiefs in trouble at all, Kyle?
I'm not sure if they're in trouble because I don't think anyone expected them to be at where they are right now. I think if anything, it was nice to see that they only lost by 10 with a last minute touchdown run by Mike Hart there. So the defense stepped up. Romeo Crennel has done a heck of a job as the new defensive coordinator. If the defense can continue to play like that and the offense just can't lose them any ball games, if Castle doesn't throw any interceptions, Chiefs will be they'll be in some decent standings at the end of the year.
Well, you know what? Talk about that. Trent Dilfer led that Baltimore Ravens team back in 2000, 2001. And they went to the Super Bowl, won it because they had that good defense, not because he was a great quarterback by any means. What do you guys think?
I for some reason, and it's nothing against the Chiefs whatsoever, but my heart says I just wouldn't buy the stock yet. I just wouldn't buy it yet, and I don't know what it is. I love the rookies. I love the defense. Romeo Crennel, has done a fantastic job, and that's probably the biggest reason why they are so successful now. But like Matt Castle, I don't know if I bought his stock quite yet. Great guy, but I don't know if I buy him as a quarterback. And I don't know. It just, for me, I look at that team and I was like, as much as I want them to do good, I sit back and I say, I just don't see it happening.
I think the biggest thing you have to remember is it hasn't been November. We haven't hit November yet, and that's when San Diego always hits their stride. But the thing going for the Chiefs is if you look at Super Bowl winners for the last, say, decade, they either have a top 10 quarterback or a top 10 defense. And right now, the Chiefs have a top 10 defense.
Tony, last thoughts?
Like I said, this is not a playoff caliber team, and I think Peyton Manning wasn't hitting on all cylinders today. You got to give a little credit to the defense, but he was off today, and you could see that. All
right, well, every other team in the AFC West now, besides the Chiefs sitting at 2-3, Oakland Raiders getting a big win over the San Diego Chargers. Had to throw that in there. That's going to do it for this week's show. If you want to look us up online, youtube.com/KNWT8. And questions, concerns, send an email to knwt@nwmissouri.edu. For Kyle Hendricks of Sunday Sports Night, Tony Botts of the Northwest Missourian, and Ross Volkmer of KZLX, saying so long.